Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I thought tonight I'd do a bit of a general talk, if you like. Not so challenging in a way, but a bit of a general talk on the on what you could call Dharma life or Dharma practice, or spiritual life. And I use the word Dharma in the sort of broadest sense of being the truth of things, or the living in accordance with that truth. In other words, living with the natural order of things, being in harmony with things as they unfold. And many of us come to this path, if you like, through becoming disillusioned, or, as the Buddha said, disenchanted with consumerism, with trying to find fulfillment outside of our own selves, in materialism, in that striving. And we create an aspiration or an intention to live as harmoniously as possible and as in tune as much as possible with life as it unfolds, and hopefully free of suffering. And this is not as you probably all realise, not a common thing. As the Buddha said, it's like we're swimming against the current, swimming upstream, because the society is rushing in the other way with different values. Materialism and consumerism, as I say. So here's where it's so important that we have these connections and this friendship that encourages and inspires us to keep swimming against the current, to keep up that intention and that aspiration to live in a free and open way. And we've all had lots of connections and lots of influences during our lives, I imagine. Not only in the Buddhist sense, but in different traditions. I myself have had influences through Advaita, Donjil, through Krishnamurti, through a few of the Buddhist traditions. I've practiced in the Zen tradition and the Vajrayana Tibetan tradition and Insight tradition. So we've all had lots of connections with different traditions and different practices. And especially this time, this era we live in, if you like, where through the internet and through modern technology, we have been connected in a global community. We're connected with all the different traditions, the different paths, the different philosophies, the different even the different therapies and Western psychology. All these have contributed to insight and inquiry. So we were actually very fortunate at this time, although we've landed in this age of incredible materialism. But we do have the opportunity to connect with people, like-minded people, who have been disillusioned with that path of individualism and self-centered selfishness that is really behind a lot of the political and social networks that we live in. And once we enter this path, this spiritual Dharma path, if you like, I think there's different areas or aspects, if you like, which is common to all the traditions. And of course, the first one is bringing real consideration to our actions, the ethics of the practice, how we relate to each other, how we care for each other and care for the planet. The real foundation of Dharma practice. And also the mindfulness practices, being connected with our immediate experience. Coming back to really appreciating and seeing into each experience as it unfolds, and seeing each experience as an opportunity to open the consciousness. And inquiring and investigating into our life and our relationships, such fruitful areas for understanding. And of course, also seeing into the impermanence of things, the ending of things. And noticing that impermanence in every moment, every experience as it passes. And realizing that clinging to the past experience is only creating difficulties and suffering in this moment. It's also creating difficulties in the future. So having an insight into this whole mechanism of dependent arising and how things arise, the causes and conditions. And cultivating that really deep sense of connection with life, with each other, with nature. Real important part of the practice is that sensitivity and that depth of feeling that can come, of appreciation and wonder when we look at the natural world, or look at each other, look into the eyes of each other. So this is opening our hearts and cultivating a generosity. How unique it is, how amazing, how blessed we are to have this experience. And we only have a limited number of experiences. So part of the practice is really being open to each experience, open to the depth and wonder of each experience. That creates an incredible full life. I think another real important part too of the spiritual journey, if you like, or Dharma practice, is healing. The practice of healing up past wounds and traumas, seeing into the causes of suffering, caring for the emotional life, and working with those difficult areas when they arise, without indulging in or without aversion to, bringing incredible curiosity to those different mind states that arise in our life in relationship to situations and to each other. So in a way also, this is bringing insight into the condition, insight into our existence as it is, the truth of how it is. Not trying to avoid or create some better situation, in that sense, in the sense that we're moving away from what is actually happening, from what is to what I would like it to be. But if we bring our attention to that, to what's arising in the emotional world at this moment, if we can bring that curiosity and that awareness to it, then we're able to shed a little light. And we only need a little crack, in a way, enough to separate us, if you like, or create a bit of a space around that emotional event. So then we have an opportunity to really see into and understand how we get caught, how we react, how we cling, how we identify, how we take things personally. Huge part of this overall balanced human experience and understanding, seeing into the human condition. And with it, as well as this sort of cultivating and understanding the like of the emotional life, there's also incredible appreciation of the senses, I think. Now, in a lot of the practices, there's been a negation of the senses, this renunciation of the conditioned life, if you like, the renunciate. But I think the senses are still another doorway to awakening. And they just become more and more sensitive. And through that sensitivity comes great openness and appreciation and wonder. It opens the consciousness, it connects us with each other and with nature around us. But in a way, the self just sort of falls away in the face of the beauty of things. The sights and sounds, the touch, the smells. In a way, the senses are the doorway to an incredible depth of experience. This opens up the whole wonder of the natural world. And also through those senses and through our creativity. We talked last week, I think, about improvisation and those moments when we're inspired. And the sense of self falls away, and this, out of the universe, comes incredible inspiration through our creativity, our human ability to be incredibly creative and not stuck in our past, and not stuck in a way we think things should be, but open to the new, to discovery. So there's no limit here to human potential through all these avenues we've been talking about. As long as we're not clinging to narrow views, and even views about practice. Surely practice, like everything, is unlimited. So we can develop insight and incredible depth of understanding and awakening through our day-to-day experience, through our senses, through our emotional life, through noticing our clinging to thoughts and views and opinions and beliefs. We can see where we get stuck and we limit our potential. And another, I think, a really important part of Dharma life is holding things incredibly lightly. There's joy in this life. There's joy in practice. If there's not, we should be looking at where we're clinging, where we're making of something more than it is, where we're contracting around some view about practice. There's got to be a lot of joy and humour here, because that's expansive. We don't take it too seriously. And of course, what helps here is the incredible support, as I said in the beginning, of the friendship and support of the teachers. And here I'd just like to mention, some of you may be aware, of Rob Bay, wonderful teacher in England, the guy through Guy House. He's written a remarkable book, Seeing That Frees. He passed away a couple of days ago after a long illness with pancreatic cancer. Blessings for poor Rob, wonderful Dharma teacher. So his talks are on the web if you're not familiar with him. He had a really broad view, if you like, open way he expressed the Dharma. But the teacher can be incredibly supportive. And by the time of the Buddha, of course, the teachers were known as the Kalyanamitta, spiritual friends. And we've all had many Kalyanamitas, hopefully. I know I have. Teachers that have really touched me deeply. And it's not necessarily a relationship as in the word teacher is a bit misleading, I think, because we all have our conditioning about teacher and student, our Western conditioning about those roles. And it's also not like necessarily like the Indian guru situation where the student gives over their responsibility to the teacher. Kalyanamitta is more a relationship of support, where each cares about each other's journey and awakening. So this Kalyanamitta can be such a rewarding and unique relationship between practitioners, between friends, between deep connections, where there is this care and this concern and this connection and the sharing of this aspiration and this intention to live in a free and liberated way. To share that aspiration to open the heart and connect. So it's people whom we can share and explore these very deep questions that move through the human heart. So hopefully it's a deep friendship of love and respect and openness and support. So that's just a bit of a broad reflection on this Dharma life. So thank you for listening, everyone.